stars Ed Sheeran, Woody Harrelson, Aaron Eckhart, Patrick Wilson, Dennis Quaid, Joe Jonas, Luke Evans, and a bunch of others in this star-studded action movie about Midway. So what's this movie about? Well, it's pretty simple. It's about Midway. Pearl Harbor already happened, and this is now kind of the attack at Midway because they're kind of fighting. I would say it's more of the U.S. is trying to fight and find where the Japanese are going to be next, because like it's going to be the Philippines, it's going to be closer to home, it's going to be closer to Japan. So they got to figure out where the next battle is going to be at, and that's what Patrick Wilson / Woody Harrelson's uh, storyline is about, because that's the intelligence side. So you have that storyline, then you have like the Ed Sheeran and Luke Evans storyline, then you kind of have like the Dennis Quaid storyline, then you kind of have the Joe Jonas storyline, then you also have the Aaron Eckhart storyline. So as you can tell from all that, there's a lot of storylines in this movie. But what I like about this movie, this was a good 2 hour and 20-minute movie. It went by pretty smooth. The action sequences were basically nonstop, and it was gritty action as well, which is also a positive and negative with the movie as well. But the action was great. The acting was actually really well with all these characters. There's a lot of people involved, and with a movie like this, I'm surprised that the acting was as good as it was. Everyone was believable in this movie, and it made sense. The dialogue was fine. The story was coherent with the timeline, even though the timeline does jump a lot, and everything else. I mean, it looks good, except the CGI is a little under budget, in my opinion, with this movie. The score was great. The location, a lot of CGI, like I said, and a lot of green screen with this movie. So it's a fun, popcorn movie about the past, which I do like how they actually use real characters. Sorry. How they use real characters in this movie. And at the very end, it's not like no bullshit like, oh, and this happened. No, they go to each character and say, this will happen, this character, this will happen, this character. And I think they do it to about 8 of them, 6, 7, 8 of the Navy / Air Force pilot. And so I think that's really cool that they actually decided to do that and actually say, hey, this is actually a real person. And they did it with the Japanese side as well, which is actually shocking. I don't know. It's not really shocking. It was a lot of Japanese dialogue in this as well. It's about their side of the battle and our side of the battle. So there's a lot of subtitles in this as well in Japanese to American. But the negatives about this movie, the CGI. I feel like the director Roland, the guy that directed Independence Day, White House Down, all those other like 2012, A Day After Tomorrow, I feel like he wasn't given the right budget for this movie. Even though they got all the actors, the CGI wasn't as strong as it should be in this movie. That's the best I could say. It just really looked kind of glossed over. It wasn't like real explosions. Everything looked kind of glossy. So that's kind of a bummer for me as well. With the storylines, they didn't flesh some of them out as well as I wanted them to. Like the Joe Jonas storyline, I would have loved to have more actually about his storyline. It was actually really compelling, really emotional, and I hope his storyline is actually based on a true person. Because if it's not, that'd be pretty bummer. But Joe Jonas' storyline, I wish I had a little bit more of, as well as Aaron Eckhart's. And if you saw my first reaction, that's the one where I was like, huh, because it starts off with it, and then something happens to him. Like he plays Doolittle in this movie, and he's done. Like he's maybe in this movie for 5 minutes, even though he had the best salute out of all the actors doing it. Aaron Eckhart had the best salute, and I wonder if that's because of Battle Los Angeles and all the training he did for that as well. But his storyline, I think, is in there because I think this is a Chinese budgeted movie. And of course, in the Pearl Harbor in the 1940s, Japan was seizing China and taking prisoners and killing them just because they were people. I think it was said in the movie 250,000 people, and this Chinese died because of the Japanese hand. So, and then if you know Doolittle's thing, he had to bomb Tokyo, and he didn't have enough gas, so he had to go into Chinese territory. He didn't know it was Chinese or Japan territory. And after that drop and he lands in China, his storyline is done. And I'm like, why did we stop there? Like, he's literally in this movie for 5 minutes. So I felt like they added that in the movie to get Chinese money. I know it sounds wrong. It could be a complete conspiracy theory, but it was just so tacked on that you're like, that's all we're going to show for Doolittle? Like, really, that is it? We're not going to show him try to escape China just a little bit at all? So that's kind of a little bummer as well. But overall, this was a, telemarketer. Fucking telemarketers, man. All right, sorry for the telemarketer. I did check my phone. This only had a $60 million budget. Think about that. Terminator Dark Fate had $185 million for a budget. Think about that. It's a $125 million difference. And Midway looked like this, so I kind of have to give props for the director for making this movie for $60 million for what it actually shows on screen for about a 2.5-hour movie. So thumbs up for you. And then this makes you realize like how much more dedicated and patriotic people were back in the day, and how like people now are pussified about, oh, we shouldn't have World War II in history because it's so intense, and we need to worry about the climate war. Bitch, please stop being a little bitch. You baby back bitch. Baby. Nah, you're saying to a camera right now. Bring that guy to my face. I'll say it to his face. You're a baby back bitch. You're a baby back bitch. You're a baby back bitch for thinking, oh, it's so intense. It's teaching in school. But yeah, Midway. Sorry for that rant. So Midway. Great acting. I enjoyed the story, even though there was a lot of little storylines, a lot of little ones that you got to remember whose name is what because something happens to them, and you're like, oh, who's that for 5 minutes? Who's that for 5 minutes? But there's that. Like I said, good story, good score, good acting, decent editing to see where everything's happening, and there is some suspenseful scenes because there's also a submarine storyline as well because it does jump from like Pearl Harbor to like this year in the May, this year in August, this year in September. So you got to remember that as well. So you got to speed up. Like, okay, that's happening. That happens. You have that torpedo squadron. You have that torpedo squadron. You have that submarine squadron. You have that battleship. You have that carrier. You have that intelligence squadron on the land. You have that other intelligence squadron on the land. So there are a lot of storylines. So that is also a positive and negative for them trying to put that much on there. So there's that. Good editing. The bad CGI, it looked a little bit too glossy for me, so that's a little bummer. And like I said, storylines. Aaron Eckhart was only in there for 5 minutes. If you're only going to show that for that reason, and I really think it's because of the Chinese money. Conspiracy theory. Oh my god. I don't even have him in the movie because his Doolittle storyline is fascinating. So if you're not going to flush it out, take it out. So Midway will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futons. He goes at 70%. So see the critics' news scores gave this film. So you have critics at 38% with 63 of them. Audience scoring 88% with 126, and here's critic consensus. Midway revisits a well-known story with modern special effects and a more balanced point of view, but a screenplay isn't quite ready for battle. I mean, it's kind of weird. I just read that. It is kind of true, like, good point of view. Like I said, it had a lot of the Japanese side and American side. Like I said, the screenplay, they're putting a lot at you, a lot to remember. And that is kind of a fault of like, okay, that character is kind of important, but they kind of forget about him. That character is important, they kind of forget about him. And I want to know more about that, but they only show him for 10 minutes. So you're like, come on. But Midway, good battle sequences. I enjoyed the movie. So do you agree with the 38, the 70, or the 88? Chase out the Blue Futon. Comment, subscribe. One other thing is Butanotopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. $125 million difference for Terminator Dark Fate. They gave that movie a $200 million budget. Are they high? I heard it's such a bad movie, but I gotta watch it still.